Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I'm going to be getting started shortly. I'm just going to give everyone another 10 seconds to join. Okay, I'm going to kick off. Hi everyone, welcome to today's ChatGPT for Work 101 webinar, a guide to your AI super assistant. My name is Lois and I am your host today. I'm a customer education specialist here at OpenAI, and so no surprises here, I use ChatGPT every single day. I've really designed this 101 session as a foundation to get you started. So my hope is that you leave today with an understanding of multimodality, what it is and how it can support an infinite number of work use cases, the key differences between GPT 4o and our latest reasoning model o3, how to navigate the ChatGPT interface and customize your settings. And we're going to wrap up with some best practices for prompting so that you get the most valuable output from ChatGPT. A little bit of housekeeping. I am joined by several of my OpenAI colleagues who will be answering and moderating your questions from the Q&A feature, which is to the right of your screen. And also be sure to check out the docs section, which has some helpful links for you to explore. Before I start sharing my screen and introducing you to GPT-4o, I want to touch on OpenAI's mission. Our mission is to bring safe artificial general intelligence to all of humanity to benefit all of humanity. Since inception, we've created a number of advanced AI models like GPT-4o, which is our flagship multimodal model, and more recently o3, which has been designed for more deliberate and deeper reasoning to support more complex tasks. I'm going to jump into ChatGPT now and kick off a series of multimodal demos. Now, what I mean by multimodality is that GPT-4o specifically can really process and understand a huge amount of input. And by input, I mean things like text, images, audio, data files. And this makes it a really versatile model for work because it is going to be able to generate text. It's going to be able to analyze images. It's going to be able to process a huge range of files. It can browse the web for you, and it even allows you to speak to it using your own voice. Jumping into ChatGPT now. We're going to kick off with my first demo. And in this demo, I am going to do a text-to-text demo, which basically means I provide ChatGPT with a simple question or instruction, and I get a text-based response. In this first example, I am saying, I work at OpenAI. I am familiar with ChatGPT, but I want to understand how I can use it more effectively as a customer enablement manager. Can you provide the top 5 use cases for my role in a table and include the relevant prompts for each use case? This is a really great prompt, and I would encourage you all to use it this week if you are new to ChatGPT. All you need to do is swap out the section here and replace this with your company or organization and just change the job role to suit the job role that you do. I'm going to send this across, and straight away GPT-4o has given me a text-based response and provided me with the table that I asked for. What's great about this example is it gives me the use cases. ChatGPT is actually telling me how I should use it for my role. So if you're not sure how to get started, if you're trying to understand how to introduce AI into your day, this is the best starting point. So grab that prompt, tweak it slightly, and see what you get back. Interestingly, when I look at these use cases here, so creating content, demo and training, script generation, enablement plans, playbooks. This is exactly how I use ChatGPT. In fact, this webinar today has been made with the help of ChatGPT. From the registration landing pages to the email copy to the content selection and the demo selection, I have done that using the help of ChatGPT. So I'm able to do a lot more in my job and I'm able to output a lot more because I have integrated ChatGPT into everything that I do. What I've just done for you is a very basic example of using ChatGPT. We entered in text and we got a text-based output. I would like to encourage you to begin to explore other ways in which to use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is capable of much more than answering straightforward questions because of these multimodal capabilities. Let's take this scenario one step further. Let's move away from text generation and let's imagine that I'm embarking on a research activity. For almost every knowledge worker, at some point in your week, you are going to need to browse the internet or search for some information. You can now do that activity directly in ChatGPT. You no longer need to manually scour web pages to get real-time information. And you do that by using the search capability within ChatGPT. So let me now show you how that works. To do that, I'm going to navigate to the new chat icon. And when I click here, that's going to take me to a new chat. I would strongly encourage you to trigger a new chat every single time you're switching topics or you are asking a new request of ChatGPT. This makes sure that ChatGPT doesn't get confused and it provides you the most relevant response based on the context that you provide. In this example, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me find some suitable venues for a partnership event. I want these venues to have specific requirements. I want AV capabilities, on-site catering, and I want the rooms to be suitable for presentations. You can see in this prompt, I've been very specific about what I am looking for. To trigger the search capability, I click Search the Web, and that will turn blue. Then when I send this prompt across, you will notice that ChatGPT tells you it is searching the web. Straight away, we get some images back. These are specific locations that are great for an event like this in San Francisco. And we have a series of suggestions. What's great about the search capability is any website that is searched will be cited within the text. So if I want to explore where this information came from, I can toggle between citations and navigate directly to that website. If I scroll to the bottom of this view here, we will see that GPT-4o is creating us with a summary table. So again, in less than 30 seconds, I have an overview of the venues that meet my requirements. We have key features and accessibility, allowing me to make decisions more quickly. So if you regularly do an activity around research, you want to make decisions more quickly, you don't have time to search the web, please come into ChatGPT and try this. Again, all of your sources will be captured in the bottom of the chat, and at any point you can come back and explore the web pages. Moving away from search, I want to talk more about voice and the ability to communicate with ChatGPT through your voice. This is the third in my multimodal demos. So you can see that I'm really working with different inputs and I'm getting different outputs. So when I use text, I was really communicating through a prompt, and I'm going to come back to prompting a little bit later on. But think about the voice capability within ChatGPT as a way to do hands-free prompting. Again, to access this capability, I trigger a new chat and I navigate to the Use Voice Mode icon here. When I click on this, this is going to take me to a new interactive view, and I'm going to be able to have a real life conversation with ChatGPT. So I just want to stress that this capability in a work environment is going to be really good to help you prepare for meetings, to potentially simulate a live interaction. So imagine you are pitching to a customer or you are having a conversation with a team member and you want to practice that conversation. It's also really good for helping you manage tasks, to ideate. Sometimes, if I don't want to spend the time typing a prompt, I will just have a conversation with ChatGPT. So, again, really encouraging you to think about your day to day, think about where things are maybe slowing you down. And I want to encourage you to start integrating the capabilities of ChatGPT into everything that you do. Let's give it a go. Hi, ChatGPT, are you there?
I'm here. What's up?
So I'm preparing to present my program of work to a group of senior leaders, and I want to outline last quarter's performance. What type of questions are executives likely to ask during this presentation?
Senior leaders will likely focus on strategic and high-level questions. They might ask about key performance metrics, trends compared to previous quarters, any significant challenges you faced and how you addressed them, resource allocation and budget efficiency, and how your work aligns with broader company goals. They may also want to know about any upcoming risks or opportunities and how you plan to tackle them in the next quarter. Are you focusing on any particular area for your presentation?
That's great, ChatGPT. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck with your presentation.
So what I've just done is had a conversation with ChatGPT. And when I click on the exit button, I'm taken back into this view here. My entire voice conversation has now been captured as a chat, and you can see that we can revisit and observe all of the recommendations that ChatGPT gave us. This is particularly helpful if I'm preparing for a presentation like this. At any point, we can come back into this chat, and we can also use voice mode to re-engage ChatGPT in the conversation. Moving away from voice, I want to talk about vision. So ChatGPT is very good at analyzing images and providing you with a text-based analysis. Let me show you how this works. In this example, I'm going to leverage the plus sign. This is how you upload files, and ChatGPT can process most file types. So Word documents, Excel, CSV, code, text. It's going to be really, really great at helping you to understand files, summarize files. Here, I'm going to add in an image. Let me show you what this image is. This is a hand-drawn mock. I did this the other day, and really what I was trying to do was design an advertisement for an agency. You can see there that I've done it really quickly. It's very rough. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to analyze the image. So the output I am expecting from ChatGPT is some kind of summary. Straight away, again, GPT-4o has done a really great job of identifying what's in the image. We can see there it has said that it is a hand-drawn wireframe or mock-up for a promotional flyer for a digital agency. We've then got a very detailed overview of what is in this image. Vision is going to be really incredible if you need to do things like scan diagrams, detect visual patterns like defects, or even interpret images like whiteboards from team sessions. It's really, really valuable for this. Again, I want to encourage you to reflect on your day-to-day. What type of images or diagrams are you working with right now? How can you take something like a photo, upload it into ChatGPT to get a valuable output? What's really great is vision pairs really nicely with image gen. Image gen is the ability within ChatGPT to provide text and generate image. Again, input and output, we're getting a really broad range of output from ChatGPT and specifically for O. What I'm actually going to now do in the same chat is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to now create this hand drawing as a digital mock. So in the same chat, I'm going to say, I now want this as a digital design. So we're really requesting an image. And you can see here that we can click on the create image icon. So the same as browse the web, this is how we really direct ChatGPT to the outcome that we want. 9 times out of 10, ChatGPT is smart enough to know what it should do simply by the language that you use in the prompt. However, it is not 100%. So best practice is always to direct ChatGPT using the tools that are at the bottom of the chat window. We are going to send this across, and what you'll notice is ChatGPT starts to create this image. Now, bear in mind that image gen can take anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds, and sometimes it will be loading for a little while. What will then happen is you get a blurred box appear in the center of the screen, and that image will start to render as it is processing. Whilst this is loading, let me show you a couple of other examples of images that I have created using image gen. Okay, scrolling down, I've added all of the images I've recently created into a project. I'm going to talk about projects and GPTs next week, and we're going to build some. But this allows me to keep all of the images that I've created and that I really like in one place. Let's go to this example here. Let's just refresh. Okay, so in this prompt, I said, create an image of an eye with a universe beautifully reflected in the iris and make it photorealistic. And here we have a very beautiful image. It is photorealistic. And when I click into that image, I am taken to the edit view. You can modify this image by reprompting ChatGPT. And you can also use the lasso icon to edit certain elements within the image. Please bear in mind that the image is slightly changed every time. Image gen is not like Photoshop. It will not give a deterministic output every time. So there is some beauty in this randomness, and the randomness is baked into the models. So you should expect to see slight variations in your images. When we click exit, you'll notice that below I asked ChatGPT, image gen specifically, to change the image into a cartoon style. So again, you can start to really play around with your images. You'll also notice that the upgraded image generation has improved significantly from the previous model. So ChatGPT now handles text really well. If you want to create a digital mock, you want text in your image, that is something that this updated model is going to be able to do. Let's jump into a few other examples. You can see here that I asked for a photorealistic image of 2 astronauts eating pizza. Scrolling down, let's take a look at what ChatGPT was able to do for us in this previous chat. So remember, we leveraged vision to make an initial assessment of an image that we provided. And we then asked ChatGPT to turn this into a digital mock. And so this is what ChatGPT has created for us. And as I just mentioned, image generation is very good at handling text. So this is going to be incredible for anyone who is creating drafts, mocks, mock designs, and you want to start to get an idea and send it on to your design team. this is going to be incredibly helpful. What I can also do again is I can go back in and I can ask for refinement. I can say, make this poster more photorealistic. And again, let's see what we get back from ChatGPT. I think I may have a previous version that's already loaded, so let's take a look at this one. Again, this was exactly the same image, just one that I prepared earlier. I asked exactly the same items. I got my initial digital mock, and then I asked it to be more photorealistic. And this is the design that I got back. Again, I can continue to converse with ChatGPT, make changes. I could even upload some of our design material and get that material integrated into the proof of concept. Okay, so what I've just done for you in the past 25 minutes is I've really touched on the capabilities of GPT-4o. To recap, it is a multimodal model. That is a bit of a mouthful, but you are going to be able to provide lots of different input and get lots of different output. 9 times out of 10, GPT-4o is going to be the model that is perfect for everyday business tasks. In the docs section of this webinar, I have linked a help article which takes you to the OpenAI Help Center that details the differences between our models, when you should use them, and even some example prompts. So I would all encourage you, if you are confused about our models and what they can help you with, to explore that page. But now I want to introduce you to O3 so that you have a strong comparison between a multimodal model like 4o, and then a reasoning model. To access the reasoning model, you're going to want to come to the model picker and select O3. You can see there that just by toggling between those two models, I'm able to change my preference. O3 specifically is a model that has been built for advanced reasoning. So what that means is it is really well placed to solve complex problems with clarity and precision. Unlike GPT-4o, O3 takes extra time to deliver thoughtful, detailed responses. That means that O3 is going to be great for math, strategy, coding, logistics, science. Essentially, if you're doing anything really complex at work, you're putting together a multi-layered strategy or a plan, you're looking at optimizing logistics or supply chains, O3 is going to be incredible at helping you solve and handle complexity. Just to note that O4 Mini, if we drop down here, has been designed for quicker tasks, so reasoning tasks like coding and math. But just note that O4 Mini is the lightweight option, and that has been optimized for coding and math specifically. What I'm going to do now is I am going to walk through a quick demo and highlight the type of request you might make to O3. Let's imagine that you work in finance and you are working for a pet product company. Maybe you have 12 million in revenue and you have 500,000 to invest. The goal is a 15% ROI in 12 months. And essentially what you're doing is you're choosing between two options. You're looking to model some scenarios to understand which is the best option to go with to reach that goal. So the first is let's explore expanding into Canada or a different market versus investing primarily in the US market. O3 has the ability to really weigh the options. It can calculate ROI, it can identify risks, it can even generate a fallback plan. What's exceptional is I ran this demo a few days ago, and O3 was even able to consider shipping costs, exchange rates, and even current market trends to help it arrive at a really valuable decision. Now, bear in mind that this type of work can often take a human anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of days. So O3 is going to really help you with that foundational activity. Now, one thing to note, and this is really, really important, ChatGPT can make mistakes. And I want to introduce you to a concept called human in the loop. Essentially, a human should be responsible for driving AI to get an output, and the human is responsible for the output. So when we're engaging with models like O3, and honestly, any models, this applies to even AI outside of ChatGPT, you must check the work. You are responsible for the output, and so you need to bake in checks and balances before you publish or send the output on to the rest of the world. Let's drop in the prompt, and I'm going to quickly walk you through it. So you can see here that I'm really giving O3 very rich context about the problem that I'm working on. I've provided the details around the 12 million in annual revenue and a 15% net margin. I've provided the outline of how much we have to spend, and I've also detailed the two scenarios which I am considering. I'm then being very specific about needing a reasoned recommendation, which details the projected ROI for each option, break-even timeline and key assumptions, resource allocation, major risks, and fallback plans as well. So I'm really giving O3 a lot of rich insights, specifically figures and timelines. The context here is important. If I want ChatGPT to effectively model scenarios, you do need to provide those key figures and really outline the problem for O3. What we're going to do is we are going to send that across, and I really want you to observe what happens when O3 is modeling a scenario versus O4. So just bear in mind that this process, it may take a minute or two to generate the response. Straight away, O3 will tell you that it is thinking. It is not rushing to a conclusion. And what's really incredible is in real time, you will understand what O3 is doing. You can see here that in this example, it is evaluating the ROI for options. It will continue to flash up this information. Personally, I love to sit here and read what the model is doing. It really helps me to understand how ChatGPT arrives at the decision that it does. Let's try that again. Looks like we uncovered an error. And again, sometimes that will happen. Sometimes ChatGPT might fail to respond, or you might get an answer that you don't love. And again, you really need to adopt a mindset of testing and iterating. If something doesn't work once, try it again. If you don't get the answer that you like, I'm going to talk to you about how you modify your prompts. But AI is, it's not perfect. It is definitely not going to solve everything for you, and you kind of need to learn how to work with it. What we can see is actually in this example, it's really starting to do the analysis. You can see there that that Python code flashed up, which means that it was actually modeling that scenario and running a specific analysis. Great. So you can see there that ChatGPT spent 52 seconds thinking through that scenario to provide us with the below output. When we click on this, we can get a breakdown of everything that the model did to arrive at the conclusion. So if I come back to that point I made earlier about human in the loop, this is the work. You really need to go through this and you really need to check it to understand, did O3 actually make the right decision here? Personally, I find this absolutely fascinating. I'm using O3 a lot at the moment. I'm using it to help me with strategizing, with planning. Anytime I encounter complexity or I have a problem that I'm trying to solve, I'm using O3 to observe the output that I get, and I'm really dialed into this chain of thought to understand what happened. We also get a breakdown of each analysis for each scenario. And then we get this really great executive summary. So this is the summary. This is the answer that we were looking for. And what's incredible is we now have a table which outlines each option that O3 explored and projected ROI. O3 has outlined some key assumptions and drivers. So the assumptions that it made to arrive at a conclusion, resource allocation, major risks and mitigations, fallback plan, and a recommendation as well. So the recommendation is really important. You can see there that O3 is telling us that we should proceed with entering a new market. It's then identifying why, and then at the bottom, it really talks about the balance between maximizing expected ROI and also retaining a level of flexibility. So this week, again, same as everything I've shown you today, really want you to think about the complexity in your day. When are you trying to solve problems? When are you planning? When do you need a strategic thought partner? That should be the prerequisite to thinking, maybe I should come and explore O3. Great. So in the last 10 minutes of the session today, I want to quickly help you navigate around the interface, and then I want to talk about prompting because prompting is very important. So far today, we have really focused on the chat window, which is in the center of the screen. This is how you prompt ChatGPT. This is how you engage in certain capabilities. And we've also selected the model picker as well. So let's explore briefly what other options are available to you. Of course, on the left-hand side, you have your entire chat history. All of these chats will remain in your account unless you delete them. Anywhere you see 3 dots, that will allow you to take a specific action. For example, I could move a chat into a project if I want to group it, or I have multiple chats that relate to a similar theme. I can rename and I can also delete or archive. I also have the ability to share chats with others across the workspace. If you have a chat that you think is really useful and you have another colleague who also is in the same workspace as you, you can share that chat with them. Scrolling up, we have projects and GPTs, which I'm going to cover in next week's 102. Essentially, a project is a way to organize your workspace. You can group chats together, and you can also upload files and add instructions as well. So this is a really helpful way to streamline your own work. You can't share projects, so projects are really about individual organization. The difference here with a GPT is that a GPT is a really helpful assistant that can automate a specific task. For example, if I want regular coaching on my writing, I can use a GPT to get standardized feedback every single time I do that type of activity. Again, I'm going to be building one of these with you next week. You have the ability to search for chats, so you can type in a keyword. If you can't remember what your chat was called, simply type in a word that you remember and it will pull back the chat. For example, if I wanted to relocate my search chat from earlier, which outlined specific venues in San Francisco, I can simply type in event. Very quickly, over on the right-hand side, you have a circular avatar, which indicates the account that you are working in. So you can see here, I'm in my account, and I want to talk a little bit about some of these settings. So the first setting I want you to understand today is customize ChatGPT. If you haven't done this already, please do this. This is where you tell ChatGPT more about you, the work that you do, the industry that you're in, and it's going to personalize the responses that you get from ChatGPT. So very self-explanatory, but I've asked ChatGPT to call me by my name. I've outlined the role that I do, and I've also included the specific traits that I think ChatGPT should have. Great. So coming away from this view here and back into settings, there are also some additional personalization options. Now, bear in mind that your screen and your settings may look different to mine, depending on what your ChatGPT admin team allows you to have access to. So some of you might not see all of the tools that I've shown today. You might not have the ability to turn memory on. So just bear that in mind. If you have any concerns about what you can and cannot see, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your internal team. Memory is really the ability for ChatGPT to personalize queries and understand things about you to improve future responses. I have memory turned on and I find it to be really helpful. The other area where you can add a layer of personalization is you can select an accent for voice mode so that you're engaging with, honestly, whoever you would prefer to engage with. Okay, coming away from settings, the last tool that I want to introduce you to is a tool called Canvas. Very quickly, before I jump into prompting, Canvas is really the ability to partner with ChatGPT in real time to collaborate on writing and coding tasks. So in all of my other examples, I have interacted with a chat and there has been a back and forth conversation, which is good, but that's not how we typically work when we're writing a piece of work, for example, a blog post, a marketing piece. And so ChatGPT is actually going to work with you like you would work with a colleague. ChatGPT is going to offer feedback suggestions, proactive suggestions, and you also get access to more edit options when you select Canvas. In this example, I'm going to paste in a blog post and I'm going to ask ChatGPT and Canvas to provide me some feedback. So here I'm saying, can you provide feedback on the below blog post? I want the post to be clear, concise, and in plain English, and the tone should be friendly but professional. When I send this across, what you'll notice, and my apologies, I was in the wrong model here. So good lesson for everyone. Make sure that you are in GPT 4.0 when you want to use Canvas. Canvas is not connected to O3 currently. So we've made sure we're in the right model. We're selecting Canvas here from the tool option. We're adding in a direction or a prompt, and then we're pasting in the blog post below. And very quickly, you'll see here, you get a nice interactive view. And the piece of writing or the blog post is right in the middle of the screen. So I can continue to write and edit this in the same way I would a Word document. So this is far more helpful than just having a chat. If there are things I want to change, I can ask for that change in the left-hand side by prompting, or I can come down to suggest edits. Let's see what we get back when we ask for suggestions from ChatGPT. Again, in the same way an assistant or a colleague would, ChatGPT makes inline suggestions. I can go through and review these suggestions, and if I like them, I can click apply. And that change will be made directly within Canvas, and the change will be logged on the left-hand side so that you can understand what's been done. Other edit options, you can adjust the length, so the number of words, the reading level, depending on who your audience is. You can add in emojis if it is a more informal Slack post, and you could also add in final polish. What's great about Canvas is you can show changes and you can also restore previous versions. You can copy the text directly from Canvas and you can also share it. This was a very quick example, but if you are using ChatGPT for writing, please trigger Canvas and work in this interactive view to help you. Canvas is also incredible at debugging code. You can copy your code directly into Canvas. Moving away from Canvas, I want to showcase a final demo today to really highlight the idea of prompting. Prompting is really the art of designing and refining the language that you use with AI models to get the most valuable output. It's really important. And again, like with everything, I would encourage a test and iterate mindset. 9 times out of 10, if you're getting an answer from ChatGPT that you don't like, it's because you need to refine the language that you're using. To clarify, a prompt is simply the question or instruction that you give ChatGPT. The official term in the field is prompt engineering, but don't worry, you don't need a technical background to be good at it. In fact, quite the opposite. Prompting is just simply good communication, and I strongly recommend that you speak to ChatGPT like it is a colleague. So humans respond best to clear, concise, and specific instructions if you want them to perform a task well. And that is exactly the same as ChatGPT. So top tip from us at OpenAI, a good prompt requires 2 things. It requires context and expectation. What I'm going to do now is 2 very quick demos where I use a basic prompt with not much detail, no context, and not really an expectation to show you the type of output that I get. So this example here is a basic prompt. I'm asking ChatGPT to summarize a research paper. That's it. I'm not telling ChatGPT who I am, what I'm working on, or the type of analysis that I want. I'm then going to upload this research paper. And let's see what response we get back from ChatGPT. Straight away, using 4.0, we get a very quick response. We have the overview of the paper. We have some performance benchmarks. This specific paper was actually written by OpenAI and is about reasoning models. And this use case here is an example of how I use ChatGPT all the time. If ever I'm trying to understand a complex research paper or something about AI, I will upload the document and ask for a summary. We have an overview of chain of thought, coding capabilities, and also human preference and safety alignment. So overall, this response is good, but it's not great if I was looking for something specific. If I had something in mind or I'm working on a very specific problem or task, you need to tell ChatGPT. So what I'm going to do now, final demo of the day, is I'm going to improve this prompt significantly and we're going to observe the output. In this example, I have really good context and I have articulated an expectation. So I'm really saying who I am and what I do. I'm responsible for training users on how to use ChatGPT. I need to understand the latest research paper in detail to enhance my training content. Can you summarize the paper with a focus on how the findings impact the practical applications of ChatGPT? And I want key concepts and technical terms clarified to make sure that it is relevant to training users. Again, I'm being very explicit about the context, so who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and then I'm being very clear about the output that I am expecting from ChatGPT. Let's add in the same paper and let's observe the output. Okay, so we have an overview. This is very similar to the previous response that we got. Key innovations and concepts. So it's actually starting to break down the concepts for me, which is what I requested. So we're starting to get a lot more detail around technical terms and concepts that are outlined in this paper. We have performance highlights. And what's great is if you'll notice here, I'm also getting some training tips. So it's talking about specific prompts and how O1 excels in tasks and structured logic. Let's scroll down. We have human preference and safety alignment and improvements. But again, I'm getting really great training tips, which is relevant to me and my role. We've got a section here which is clarifying the technical terms so I understand them more deeply. And I'm also getting a summary for trainers. So what to emphasize in training and why it matters. So there is some subtle differences here, but essentially what I'm telling you is that when I really take the time to explain to ChatGPT who I am and what I'm doing and really what I'm looking for, that is when AI starts to really work for you. That is when you start to get really valuable output for your role. So that brings us to the end of the session today. So I just want to thank you so much for your time. I hope this was valuable. I hope you got some tips and tricks. We have covered multimodality, voice, vision, text. We have looked at the differences between 4.0 and O3. We have navigated the interface, and we've also introduced tools like search, Canvas, and a couple of suggestions for prompting. So I strongly encourage you to jump into ChatGPT this week, get testing, try out some of the prompts that we've given you today, and we'd always love to hear where you land. If you do have a couple of minutes, we would love to hear from you by answering the survey. And of course, a recording will be sent to you tomorrow, and you can sign up for 102 in that follow-up email. Thank you so much for your time.